Hey guys, I'm Southpaw. I've been playing the Battlefield series since the 1943 iteration back in 2009, and I've bought every Battlefield since. I've witnessed the transformation of the franchise, and I'm not sure if I'm pleased with where it's headed. With almost the same amount of playtime in both Battlefield 3 and 4, I want to share my thoughts on why I think Battlefield 3 is still the superior product to its successor. Okay, so let's step back and take a look at Battlefield 3 and 4 as a whole. They don't seem that different, do they? Well, they're made by the same developers, the same studio, and the two games have much in common. When Battlefield 4 was first announced, there was a lot of discussion among the community about whether it will be a revolution or an evolution from Battlefield 3. For instance, many wanted a Battlefield 3.5, an evolution in the series that would fix the problems inherent with 3 and build upon the fundamental game. Others wanted a revolution, a total re-envisionment of the Battlefield series that would introduce new ideas but still improve the Battlefield experience. Well, what happened with Battlefield 4 as a game? I'd argue that it was both an evolution in the sense that it tried to keep Battlefield's fundamentals and actually build upon 3's success in some ways, but a revolution in the sense that it also changed the series. While it added the scripted Levolution events, naval warfare, and more customization, in my time playing I feel like it has lost the true Battlefield experience. But before I explain what I think is fundamentally wrong, let's look at the positives of Battlefield 4. Increased destruction is definitely a big plus. I finally feel like the destructibility of the buildings and environment are equal with Bad Company 2's model, something that Battlefield 3 desperately needed. The changing weather in many of BF4's maps was cool at first, but it simply becomes old and honestly doesn't really add anything to the game. Class and soldier customizability I think is important, and Battlefield 4 improved upon it immensely. You can put all kinds of camo on literally anything. Vehicles, weapons, uniforms, it's all there. Also added were battle packs, little presents with goodies that you get while playing the game, usually after you rank up. In other words, they give you weapon attachments, camo, soldier portraits to customize your battle log soldier, and even XP boosts that will help you rank up faster and unlock weapons and gadgets faster. But I don't think it adds much to the game, and I believe it depreciates the value of the ranking system. The biggest plus I see with Battlefield 4 is the graphical upgrade. BF3 is still an extraordinarily beautiful game, but BF4 is better on the graphics side. Now personally, I prefer BF3's graphics to BF4's. Battlefield 3's engine has a much more gritty and authentic appearance than BF4's very pristine, colorful textures. Now that I've covered the positives of BF4, let's talk about the negatives. Since October when it first released, Battlefield 4 has been a chore to play. Both on a technical side and a gameplay side, it's a love-hate relationship. Its release was significantly worse than Battlefield 3's launch. With constant crashing, server-side issues, and a quote-unquote netcode, Battlefield 4 has been handled poorly. The question whether that was solely a DICE issue or if EA pushed the release too early is for another time. As for sales, after the first 10 weeks of release, BF4 sold around 760,000 copies on PC, while BF3 in its first 10 weeks sold over 1.5 million on PC alone. As of right now, BF4 is still far behind. Aside from the technical issues, I believe the fundamentals of the game are broken. For example, with the added increase in variety of explosive gadgets, the explosive spam is an ever-expanding problem with BF4. BF3 didn't have this issue. So I played a few Battlefield 3 games a couple nights ago, and I enjoyed every single minute that I played. The gunplay felt solid and responsive, and the overall atmosphere of the maps felt totally different than BF4's. Most importantly, I was having a lot of fun. In general, I feel like it's much harder to be successful in a BF4 game, KD-wise and team play-wise, compared to BF3. But I find it difficult to pinpoint why. Now on the game mode side of things, Rush works perfectly in BF3. The maps are catered for both Conquest and Rush, and they play out wonderfully. On the other hand, BF4's Rush mode is pretty much dead. The developers at DICE have even come out and said that they designed the maps for Conquest first, and gave Rush little attention. Things like game modes are not the biggest problems that BF4 has. I believe the problem that is holding back BF4 the most is its netcode. A good example of this would be the latency you experience when you duck behind cover from enemy fire and still somehow get killed. Well, it's still evident in BF3, but it's amplified immensely in BF4. The responsiveness of BF3's gunplay has to do with the netcode. So at the end of the day, what does this all mean? Well, the Battlefield series is definitely declining, especially on the quality side. DICE has set some very high standards in their past games, and people expect that standard to carry on to new releases. But with BF4's release, both DICE and EA's reputation was severely damaged. It's only a matter of time until the next iteration of the Battlefield series is announced, and we'll have to see how it all pans out. As of right now, I'll keep playing both Battlefield 3 and 4. Although I actually love many aspects of BF4, BF3 is still a great alternative after a frustrating Battlefield 4 match. Most importantly, I play games for fun. I want to be able to just hop in a game and start playing without technical issues like crashing, rubber banding, and the random netcode latency. Battlefield 3 was successful because it kept the fundamental gameplay aspects that made the Battlefield franchise so popular, but still brought new ideas to the series. Today, the Battlefield series is very different. So looking at it from a broader perspective, I think Battlefield 3 is still the superior game to its successor. So that about covers it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your opinions. My question is, which game do you prefer?